You can do so.
My cell phone says it's 7:01, so we'll call this meeting to order. The record will show that all 6 of us are here. All right, next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for June 16, 2022. I sent them around about an hour ago, an hour and a half ago, I'm not sure.
I will be approved.
Okay, all right, so Steve has the motion to approve, and Rob Word has the motion to, excuse me, the second. Any discussion, any changes to those minutes?
No, but I am concerned that a lot of stuff can get sent out. I think, Rob, you sent, or did you send it out the other day?
Let's see, I sent,
I asked Nadia to set forward the correspondence.
that's right.
I asked her to send it to me and then she.
She sent it.
Got it sent twice, right?
I didn't get it.
I don't know about the twice, but
I didn't get it.
I forwarded it out, January 5th, or, excuse me, July 5th or 6th, whenever, I think we got it July.
I got the 2 letters from the superintendent, but that's all I got.
I got the,
I think that was it.
I got the plan, no, P and Z, there's a P and Z proposal with me.
The EMS.
No, it was,
Yes, open space.
Number 3A was,
I got that from that.
That was the 5th. Who sent it?
I didn't get it.
Well, I remember sending out,
Okay.
no, yeah, I remember sending out this. on-
Superintendent.
On the 6th, I think, or something like that, but I don't know if I sent out the P and Z information. I don't recall sending that out.
No, I don't think we got
I
that.
don't know if Dottie sent that out or.
I got that.
She did.
She said, she,
Got it.
in her note, it was, she said.
So she sent it out before, like, the last
Before she
24
sent
hours?
out.
Okay, that's what, yeah,
Okay, great, terrific. All right.
thank you.
Maybe Dottie can help us.
No, I
sure
just
she
know,
knows.
I got the 2 letters from that one.
All right, so any changes to the minutes? Any changes to the minutes? All right, so hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And I guess I went to say aye because I'm so used to saying it, but I should abstain because I wasn't at this meeting, so I can't really vouch for the accuracy of the minutes. So that'll be 5 who vote yes and I'll abstain. All right, correspondence, June 21, copy of PA 490 open space ordinance proposed revision. That must be the planning, is that the zoning? thing that we're talking about? EMS contract, Caroline Slow, she sent an email to us.
Yeah.
I think she meant to send it to the first selectman. Ashford's FOI training, I think I saw that. And then it says memo from the board of selectmen, memo from the superintendent. I think what it meant to say was memo to the board of selectmen, because that's the July 5
Right.
is actually, it's to the first selectman from the board of education. And this one is to us. All right. Any other correspondence? Actually, can everybody on the Zoom hear me okay? Because I know the microphone is not right in front of my mouth. And sometimes when that happens. Good. Dottie says yes.
Yes.
Great. So, is there any other correspondence that anybody's aware of that's not recorded here? Any other correspondence? All right, we'll move on to citizens' comments. Any citizen at this time who has a comment? Citizens' comments. Any citizen comments? All right. We'll move on to selectmen's update. First selectman, Amy Stanage. Hello, Amy.
Good evening, gentlemen. All right, I've got quite a few things to discuss tonight. I always come in and I think, oh my gosh, what am I going to tell the Board of Finance? And then I started writing, I was like, oh my gosh, I got a lot of things to talk about. So this is all good. We have 2 RFPs that are going to be going out. The first, we're forward thinking again. We're doing the sidewalks currently on a lot SIP program grant. The sidewalks on Main Street are in dire need, as well as the paving on Main Street. However, before we can do the paving, we have to get the sidewalks done. So we're moving forward with an RFP for the engineering and design for the sidewalks on Main Street in the hopes of applying for a lot SIP grant, similar to the one that we just got for the sidewalks on Riverside Drive. With the intention, should we get that, we can move forward, do the sidewalks, get the paving done. So we're just trying to be proactive and think ahead. Additionally, the RFP is going out for the salt storage and public safety facility. Again, that's just going to be for the engineering, design, and site plan for those two facilities, and that will be published in August. Let's see what else. We completed the paving project on Chase Road and Bates Ave. It looks great. Just got to try to keep people off of the grass that we're trying to grow. Let's see. Last week, I took a drive with Josh Butts. He works at the transfer station, but he's also pretty much our arborist for the crew. So he and I drove through about a third of the roads trying to identify sections of dead trees. The most egregious area was Ravenel Road and Fabian Road. So we have a list. We actually have a 4-page list of various trees that we identified. We've sent it on to Eversource and understand that these are not trees that our crew could handle because they do overhang power lines. Eversource has aspen on Ravenel Road and Fabian Road. I made the call to them, sent them the list, and they got to work right away on that. Additionally, some of the trees that we can handle, we've made a list of those, and we're going to start working on those and trying to get proactive to trying to catch up with the tree issue that we have that came after the gypsy moths a couple years ago. So we're actively working on an aggressive plan to start tackling all of those issues. Let's see. Blaine Road. We had on our plans for this year with Public Works to revamp the intersection there. And unfortunately, being 2 crew members down still and not having a firm director, the crew feels like they're just not, they don't want to tackle that project, but not to let it go to waste because we have the plans approved by Connecticut DOT. We are asking NC Incorporated to take a look at the job. And since they're here doing the sidewalks, they're potentially going to do that bump out and do the repairs that our crew would have done. And that'll just be pulled directly from our budget. So looking forward to seeing that road finally have some type of identified form of an actual intersection. Let's see what else. Currently, the Public Works crew is doing some roadside mowing, and they're also working on a few culvert and catch basin repairs that were in dire need. In mid-August, the crew will be tackling a drainage issue on Emil Drive. This has been ongoing for a couple years. It was determined last year that it was caused by a crushed pipe. So we've targeted the week of August 15th to begin that project. Let's see what else. Hazardous Waste Day has come and gone. We'll have a full report soon on what was brought to that day, which was on June 25th. I've been told there was about 150 cars that came through with hazardous waste, a little bit lower than normal, but happy that people got rid of some of those hazardous materials. Let's see what else. Putnam EMS is, we continue to get reports from QVEC, that's our dispatch center, and it's continuing to operate in the manner that we had projected, which means Putnam gets a call, the Thompson crew covers for Putnam, or if Thompson's out on a call and gets a second emergency call, Putnam covers us. So we're continuing to back one another up, that the system's working exactly as we had planned. So I'm very excited about that. On next Tuesday, there is a town meeting. So I encourage everybody to come out. It's to approve the new ordinance for PA 490. That's the open space ordinance. That coincides with the decision that was made in 1979 to offer the open space program. So hopefully everybody comes out. I think it's a good ordinance, and it's just following the directions that we were supposed to do back in the 80s, and that was to form an ordinance that would regulate and set criteria for the program. There are two other ordinances that will be voted on that day. One has to do with the MS4 storm drains, the illicit discharge into stormwater drains. And then there's also a recreation ordinance. They are requesting, or they have requested, that we drop the membership of the rec commission from 9 members to 7 members. So that they can meet quorum, because meeting after meeting, they don't meet quorum. Let's see what else. We have been having some issues as of last Sunday. I had received numerous calls from residents in regard to Quad State Park. There's a lot of issues, whether it's jet skiers, people without life jackets. I have followed up with Deep. Unfortunately, all I was told is that residents need to call the tip line to let them know. And I will give the number. It's 860-424-3333. But I am going to be closely monitoring the situation and being at the park this Saturday. And I plan to do what I can to put a stop to this. It's $15 for entry on the weekends per carload. I say carload because it could be filled up with a lot of people. There is a charge now.
$50 for a jet ski.
I thought that I'm sorry. Speak out of turn. I thought that the charges we had on our registrations made the skate parks free.
It's free for Connecticut residents.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sorry, I should
Okay.
clarify.
Mostly Rhode Island residents.
Out-of-state residents have to pay $15. So yes, like I said, I'll be there all
It is bad
weekend.
On the weekend,
Oh, I know.
Mhm.
in the afternoon.
And I think that's all that I have.
Amy, what was the date of that town meeting about?
Oh, Tuesday, July 26th at 7 PM at the Library Community Center.
At 7 PM?
Yes. And the ordinances are available at the town clerk's office
So
and
July-
online. Thank
July
you.
26th, 7 PM.
Oh, and one more thing, summer concert series. We have one this weekend, Saturday, July 23rd, 6 to 7:30 PM, the East Woodstock Cornet Band. And then Saturday, August 6th is Stomp and Holler from 6 until 7:30. There's also the townwide tag sale on July 30th here at Town Hall. So
Questions for?
Is the town meeting a hybrid meeting?
it's not,
Is that just our preferences, or it can't be, or help me understand? I'm not advocating one way or the other, just curious.
it could have been, some of the some of the IT staff were on vacation and I really need them in order to execute.
Okay.
A
Well, it's
proper
doable then,
hybrid
but
move.
okay,
Yeah, it's doable.
Thank you.
So
But when it's hybrid, it's either here or up at the.
usually at
auditorium?
the big auditorium is
Right,
better.
Pretty much, those are at least the two physical spaces that I think are really the only options that we have. right now.
Right.
I had a comment and a question. The
Mhm.
comment was, thank you for continuing with the road work despite the lack of people. I think outsourcing it in this situation makes sense,
Right.
given our strength of team, so to
Mhm.
speak. The question is, at the same time we were discussing the Blaine Road intersection, we also had a conversation about the Buckley Hill Road. Is that part of it, or is that a separate project?
Are you talking-
about where Buckley Hill enters Route 12? Route 12.
Oh,
Goes down over the bridge and then where it enters up near on Route 12, it's about as wide as Blaine.
right.
There's a second one. I don't know if that was part of the same project. or-
And the only thing we've talked about on Buckley Hill Road are the two bridges, which are currently, there's an application in for the Connecticut for the State Bridge Program. And we're waiting to hear back on that grant program.
Okay, so nothing with respect to the intersection.
Not at this time. But potentially with the mill being redeveloped, which I should continue, that remediation should be beginning soon. With that building being expanded and built upon, the intersection will have to be addressed, most likely.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the first one? Comments? Anything? All right. thank you.
Okay, thanks.
We left the school district update in here, even though the superintendent did mention she was not going to be available at this meeting. just in case the chair of the Board of Education was here or if somebody else. Okay, or if anybody else who's representing the school wanted to give an update, that's fine. That's why I left it on here, knowing we could skip it if necessary. I didn't put a name in, knowing that we could just fill in if necessary.
Maybe just touch on a school issue. I don't know if this is the right point on the agenda or not. But we've got the letter from the superintendent talking about the need for, it looks like $300,000 for school security.
Yeah.
Let's face it, school security is a super hot button. I would, and it's a, I don't know how far down the road they've gotten with specific needs or anything. But I would hate to have them not do something because they're waiting for us to make recommendations.
They're not asking for it.
This is
No, they're
close
not.
to what I asked.
There's a letter out to the first selectman, Amy, requesting that the building committee take a look at this and,
And
and.
they have
come
it
up
in
with a
hand.
Recommendation.
Right, I agree, they're not specifically asking for it, but they're talking about the need. I just want to make sure
Well,
we
I
don't.
understand there's a
Yeah.
need, but I'm also concerned about 300,000. I don't know where we sit right now on the previous fiscal year, although it just closed. We don't have the numbers on that.
I don't know either, but the $300,000, if that's what's needed to secure our school, we should spend it. They have to borrow it, to take up from another program, that needs to be a priority.
Yeah, and it's-
I think that's why it's at the building committee.
And I mean, at least the way that the correspondence reads to us, it says Board of Finance members must be aware of this unbudgeted spending expense. So I guess to the point being made, they didn't specifically request it yet, but you look at this shooting in the school in Texas, and it's not even schools anymore. It's just anywhere there's a concentration of people congregating.
It's insane.
Shopping malls, 4th of July parades, you name it. So we'll see what the building committee, is it the building committee that this went to?
Yes. Well,
Yeah, the Thompson Building Committee. Well, that's it. Board of
Actually,
Selectmen,
Board of
they're gonna
Finance.
delegate,
For both of us.
We did.
Everyone.
but it's going from the Board of Selectmen to the Thompson Building Committee, and then their recommendation will go back to you and then to us, I'm assuming.
Yeah, or Board of Ed and then to us,
That's
one or
right,
the other.
but certainly, the way I feel about school security is, it reminds me of getting an insurance policy on your car, right? You get the insurance policy on your car, and then you drive it for a year, and if nothing happens, you could say, well, then my money was completely wasted. But if anything happens, then suddenly that insurance policy was dirt cheap, because we all know that when there's an accident, it's not just damage to the vehicle, it can be injuries to other people. Same thing with school security. I mean, if you increase the security of the building and it prevents someone from coming in and taking the lives of people, well, then the expense for that was cheap. So at least that's the way I've always looked at it. That being said, we've just got to wait and see what the building committee has to say.
Yeah. Put the cart before the horse,
That's it.
$2 and cents until we know what we're spending for.
Anything else on this, as long as we are on Board of Education update? School district update?
My only comment here is we're not meeting again until September. So when would we expect to hear back from the building committee?
I think they're going to be meeting in August and discussing it.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to financial report. Finance Director, William Steglitz. Bill.
Hi, everyone. The June financial report, on the revenue side, things continue to trend well. A lot of the explanations were similar to last month. But property tax collections, 18.7 million, up 101.7% of budget. Current tax collections, prior year taxes, interest and liens, and motor vehicle supplements all trended up for the same reasons that we discussed last month. On the state and federal grant side, we did receive the final Pequot Indian grant payment. We received 3 per year, and that came in just a couple weeks ago. Local revenue, similar to property taxes, the positive news continued there largely for the same reasons as we discussed last month. Dropping down to expenses, excluding the refinancing of debt fees, expenses are up, are 8.2 million for the year, or approximately 59,000 above the full year budget. As Mr. Johnson mentioned earlier, it's still very early in the year-end close process. We continue to get invoices in for 2022 expenses. I'm sure this is similar to what you guys have seen in the past, but I will definitely keep you updated there. There were a few items I wanted to touch on in terms of overages that I'm sure you saw in the analysis. We had talked about town council expense last month. We are now $43,000 over budget in that line. And the difference from the 30 from last year was that the bills for the attorney's fees related to the tax sale came in. So last month we had discussed that being over budget due to financing fees that were in the attorney line. And that's actually something I'll touch on later on in my comments. Full disclosure, the finance department's over budget by $27,000. That's largely due to use of temporary staff during the transition period. And we've also kept a guy on since then to help us kind of get ready for year end. And he's working on account reconciliation items. And he had actually helped out on a couple of USDA grant related projects, which actually just came in. They were relatively small, but so a successful effort there. An update on the canine operation that we talked about last month. There were two items in there. If you recall, there was NECOG prior year ACO expenses that we had paid that we actually had an accrual that could offset. That entry has been made. And we've also done the reclass to pay the veterinary bills out of the dog fund, which is one of the allowable expenses. So after those two adjustments, the canine operation is over budget by $13,000, and that solely represents the payment of the ACO for actual hours worked that we discussed last month. So that accounting has been cleaned up a bit there. Other items I wanted to talk about. There was a follow-up question from last month's meeting around the non-lapsing account, and specifically what could the Board of Finance do if grant money were subsequently received to cover the cost of replacing the boilers. My research, coupled with the discussion with Chris King, the partner at King & King, came to the conclusion that that would be handled at the Board of Finance discretion, and they could take that money and put it in the general fund. I alluded to the cost of refinancing not being rolled into the prior year bonds, which I believe Mr. Johnson's question was last month. Did a little digging there and had some discussions with folks, and unfortunately that appears to have been an oversight at the time of the refinancing. So it's something that probably should have been rolled into the note, but unfortunately hit the budget instead. Just one more. Oh,
No,
great.
just thank you
gotcha.
for that particular item.
Terrific. Thanks. Just my last point.
Take your time. It's already 7:25.
We've got some pretty good momentum going there.
Sometimes we haven't even finished. I was gonna say, sometimes we haven't even finished citizens' comments. Take your time.
Just a quick update on the audit. The King & King will be on site for the interim field work August 9th and 10th. That's actually, it's later than it has been in the past, but that constraint was actually on their end from a staffing perspective, not on ours. It's something I follow up with Chris King on regularly, and I've now that we have that scheduled, I'm already nudging him on when we could get scheduled for the year-end work, because the sooner we get into that, hopefully the sooner we can get through it. And as a lifelong auditor, there's nothing better than a quick audit. So we'll see how it goes. So that's the finance report.
Questions for the finance director?
I had a comment and two questions. The comment is similar to last month. Thank you for the thoroughness of the report.
Okay.
So
Great.
it's one thing to have data, there's another thing to have an analysis of the data and the drivers. So it's very clear. So thank you for that.
Sure.
I had a question around the town council. Can you provide us with, don't need every invoice, but could you provide us with a little more detail around that?
Sure.
And the reasoning is that we did intend to have that cost drive down over time with some of the people that we brought on. Understand things happen. But I
Right.
think it would be beneficial to understand maybe the major levers and why that's so far over. Is it a one-time, some one-time events, and it just give us a better feel for where that 43, well, where all of it's gone, driving the 43 over.
Sure. I can give you a quick view right now. There are a handful, maybe 4 or 5 invoices. 2 of them are, that make up 30,000 of the overage, relate to the refinancing fees that unfortunately should have been rolled into the note, but weren't. And about 12,000, which is the delta from last month to this month in the overage, relates to the attorney fees related to the tax sale. But
Which adds some upside.
Right, exactly, right. It just doesn't happen to show up in that line. So it definitely, that's definitely something we'd want to continue to do.
Thank you.
Yep.
My second question is around the canine operation.
Yep.
I want to preface this by saying the questions are by no means judging the quality of the department.
Mhm.
And that's why we're unfortunately, people may go, that's not why I'm asking. It's got nothing to do with the quality of the service. There looked to be a $20,000 negative expense in the month of June, which
Yes.
I believe is related to a reversal or an addition of the funds that were set aside. You commented on that. How much was that in aggregate? Could you tell us where that base was in that fund? How much was pulled out and where the base is as of post the pullout?
So the $20,000, that's actually the entry that moved the expense for prior year NECOG charges over against the payable on the balance sheet. So it was booked to expense. It should have gone against the payable initially. So that's why, and there was no other activity in the fund. So that entire 20,000 and change, I forget the exact amount, it was actually one entry to move those NECOG charges against the payable.
It was a one-to-one.
Yes,
NECOG charges represented the full amount.
the full amount, correct. Yep. It was
The
in.
balance is now, the 20's been extracted.
So the dog fund compared to what we spoke about last month would be down approximately $6,500 to $7,000 because we paid the vet bills out of the dog fund. So the NECOG charges didn't affect the dog fund because it was just a reclass within the budget. So I don't have it to the penny, the dog fund balance, but the only change would have been paying the dog fund, paying the veterinary bills for the year, which I want to say were $6,400 around there. That actually didn't change during the month from our conversation last month. But when we as part of last month's exercise, we learned that that's an eligible expense from the dog fund, so we took it.
Was it treated as an income?
I'm moving to another part of the topic. So if you got a question on that NECOG, please.
So was the vet bill, was that treated as, the vet recovery, was that treated as income?
It offset the expense. So it had been charged to the budget initially,
Okay. But
and then
in June, though.
throughout the year. And then we were able to charge it to the dog fund, reclass it to the dog fund, if you will. So that expense was reduced to zero. Because it was borne by the dog fund.
This may be more of a question for you, Amy, but
Okay.
now that we've adjusted the overall budget coming into this year, this fiscal year for the canine operation by increasing the hours worked for the ACO, will we not have this type of issue / surprise next year? In other words, are we now going to be out of balance to the budget, or are we
Well, we've got
pacing over that?
2 factors in the salary line, because that's where you're seeing the overage right now is the salary line. Number one, currently we are still keeping Mary Bennett on payroll, hoping that her case settles and we can discontinue that soon in the not too distant future. I'm waiting for Bill to find the,
There's the moment.
We should, on average, Jan was working 25 to 30 hours a week. So I'll be monitoring that closely. So far, she's staying right in line with where the budget should fall. So what was the revised? Is this what we had for actual?
That was 21.
So if we're 12,000 over and it's on the salary line, FY 21 was 24,000 appropriated. And the approved budget was 38. So if the hours continue the way they have been, which I suspect they will, we should be fine in that budget. There should be no surprises, and I'll keep monitoring it very closely. Does that answer your question?
It does, and again, I'm gonna go back, this is not a judgment on
Right.
quality, it's just, we've had a couple of years now.
Yeah.
where We missed this
Mhm.
one, and I just want some level of confidence or asking for confirmation that we've got it dialed in this year.
I feel like I believe we've got it dialed in this year.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think so.
Any other questions for the finance director? Questions, comments? Anything else? Okay. Turtle Fund update. I don't know if there's anyone here who can share an update on the Turtle Fund or is willing to.
Come on, but we just did the rundown.
Amy and I were practicing earlier, just in case. Well, back me up on this one. So, so at the moment, the items they're working on, they're exploring handicapped access to the Rascavage Auditorium. They were also exploring, they were exploring some AV work in Rascavage also. Or are the other ones? I should have written
The
down.
windows. is-
The
window
windows are
project.
wrapping up. We have one
Yeah.
more window that I believe still needs to be fixed. And we are exploring the potential for a new investment advisor. We've been with Crestwood, I believe, for quite a while. And it was just I think the trustees just felt that it was time to take a look around to see what else was out there. A number of interviews have happened, including a local firm, White's, Hale and Zahansky out of Pomfret. So that kind of is proceeding.
I would add two things if I may. One, the thought around additional advisor, a different advisor was also aligned maybe with a group that did more philanthropic work and had similar funds, some level of funds similar to the Turtle Lot Trust Fund in their portfolio. And the second item, the group, the trust has done a lot in the last few years. Don't expect it to continue at that pace, given the market conditions and the fact that there's a floor to which we can't go below, meaning the fund can't go below a certain level for projects. And we're not at that floor, but we're not in the same place we've been for the last 3-4 years. So just from an expectation standpoint, there may be a few years of some smaller projects as we rebuild those investments. Lastly, I think this is important. The trustees asked the new advisor to structure the investment and the expenditures in such a way that when we look further down the road, in terms of decades, 10, 20, 30 years down the road, we're actually building the fund rather than pulling it back down to that floor and then growing it and spending it and pulling it back down to that floor. We would pull it down. We wouldn't pull it down all the way. We'd take some out every year for projects, but continue to layer it in so that when we get to the future and there's a new set of people in this room, the fund is larger and can continue to do what it's intended to do for perpetuity.
Any other questions or comments about the Turtle Lot Fund update? Turtle Lot Fund update.
What is there a minimum dollar amount? Is it raising the dollar amount or?
So this is the hot potato part. I'm gonna probably bat it back over to Bill, but I think it's 2.3-ish, 2.3, 2.4 million.
And is
We've been
that what it
hovering-
was 50 years ago too?
No, I don't know That would
I
be
think
Joe
that was
Armour,
put
Chief
in
of Question.
when in fact
It was
we
revived.
took over the trucks.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, that was my understanding,
Yeah.
that was the case.
We said that, I remember that, we
Yeah.
said that.
I mentioned that because, the real, in terms of constant dollars, that's changed a lot of issues.
Right, so we hope that in the future it's
Right.
twice, 2, 3, 4, 5 times that in the future, so that the amount extracted is still meaningful.
Right. I think you're right, Rob. It was around the 2.4. And I think the reason we're approaching that floor is a combination of the spending on the window project, which was pretty aggressive, and some hits we've taken in the market like everyone has, frankly. So the combination of those two items has brought us closer. We're not at it, but we're a lot closer than we have been in the past.
Anything else? On Turtle Lot Fund update, any other questions, comments? Okay, we'll move on to Board of Finance member comments. Any Board of Finance member comments? Board of Finance member comments? Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll do that.
Steve's got the motion. Second, all in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? This meeting is now adjourned at 7:37. Good night, everyone. See you in September.
They beat my meeting.